Hey, what's going on? Using My Story community. Once again, it's me, Samuel. We have another great podcast for you guys. We got a really exciting guest with us. We're super honored that he's here. So go ahead and take a second and introduce yourself.
My first name's Juan. My last name's Pena. I'm born in Artesia, California. Grew up in Norwalk. Went to elementary, middle school, and high school, all right there.
Nice.
Yeah,
So you're a Southeast baby.
Southeast baby, yeah.
Nice. So, as you know, this podcast is used to shine light on mental health and substance abuse. And, we just bring people in here to give the community some hope, people that are struggling still. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about your struggles. Was it addiction? Was it mental health? A little bit of both?
So that's like a 3-part answer for me. So early in my teens, it was more gangs.
Okay.
It was gangs, and then going hand in hand with gangs is like gambling and cigarettes. So it's gangs and drugs. Drugs to stay up all night and do whatever gangs, whatever they do. And my drug of choice, early on was meth. 'Cause what more do you need to stay up all night and do stupid stuff? Is that?
Yeah.
So mental health, yeah, that comes later on in life. When you're coming off the substance, but that was my early struggle.
Okay. Was meth addiction?
Meth addiction, and then gradually going into drinking, at family parties, the beer your Theo leaves behind.
Yeah, the dry beer.
The dry beer, the
babas.
babas, yeah, man.
Let's go. So, we talked a little bit about your addiction, your first DOC.
Yep.
So now, you kind of tapped on the subject of your childhood. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So my childhood, I actually had a very blessed childhood. A lot of people would look at me and be like, why'd you join a gang? Or why'd you get high? I'm a first generation Mexican American. My mom and dad are both immigrants from Mexico. My dad from Sinaloa, my mom from Tijuana. What I'm about to say sounds kind of messed up to some people, but they were never there because they were always working. Now I'm not trying to put it on them. They had to work. I get it by all means. So my grandma raised me. Hard school grandma. Old school hardcore grandma. Eat a salad before dinner type stuff.
Nice.
But what that did to me was, I never really listened to her. I was blessed with both parents. They gave me the best opportunities, but I guess early on I realized I was an adrenaline junkie. I played sports all my upbringing, but for some reason I took to the streets. Something about being respected and feared that I thought was cool at the time.
Yeah.
You're a teen, you try to fit in, you try to be respected, whatever it is. But my upbringing was pretty cool, man. Both my parents, every Christmas I had family memories of my uncles. I had a lot of love. I had a lot of support. None of my parents are addicts. They could drink a Smirnoff and be cool for 50 years.
Yeah.
Figure of speech, of course. My brother too. I have one brother, opposite skin color of me, opposite personality, opposite body type, everything. So, but that just goes to show that you don't need to grow up in the hood to get an addiction.
Having both your parents involved. So a statement that is said before, even by myself personally, was my parents were there, but they weren't there.
Correct.
Right? Because parents, obviously, they're out there trying to provide and they're trying to do everything. So being raised by your grandmother, you not respecting her as an authority figure, but her trying to give you that hardcore love, right? And then your parents are just out, just grinding.
Working, man.
Grinding, just making sure that Juan has everything that he needs. Holidays are solid.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about the mindset that brought you to chase the streets and the addiction and your first time using the struggles. Let's just kind of jump into that and what led to that.
Okay. Well, if I understood your question correctly, just pretty much what led me to addiction. You know what, man? I remember when I started my criminal lifestyle, I started using, and I couldn't stop using instantly. That's something I struggled with early on, and then what that led to was juvenile hall, dysfunctional family. I was always the black sheep, always getting in trouble. I didn't graduate high school, and early on I didn't realize I was a problem, until later on in life. And then all this eventually led me going to prison, and then furthering my addiction in prison. And I tried to stop a couple times, even in prison, but I just couldn't.
Yeah, that's kind of relatable, coming from a family where I had both parents involved and all those things too. But I was the first one to get locked up and do prison time.
Yes, sir.
And do those things. And for some reason, it kind of felt like a sense of accomplishment. And that's where the mindset was, right? The mindset was like, I made it.
Sir.
Right? Because what's taught in there is, this is your career. Let's make this the best experience possible. Kind of Disneyland for criminals, I guess you can call it, right? And then, but we don't look at the effects that it has on our family, right? And it's like, it's another thing that said that inmates think that we're the only ones doing time, when it's actually the family that's doing time with us. Especially when we have a significant other, or we have children, you know, and it's like those people do time with us too, bro. And we lose out on those things. And, you know, when you get to a point of your sobriety and you start looking at those things, you start realizing those things, and you have to deal with the consequences outside of doing time.
That's true, man.
And to me, that's the hardest part, right? Is having to face those people and realize I missed first birthdays and I missed those types of things.
And funerals. Grandpa passed away while I was in prison too.
Yeah. I lost some family members to my dad. You know, which was
hard, man.
It was. But again, this is why I'm grateful for these types of platforms and people like you that are able to come on here and share.
Sure.
That way people are not alone, right? Because that's one thing I like to say all the time is you're not alone. Because one way or another, we've all shared the same story.
Okay.
So, not only using meth, did you go to anything else outside of meth and alcohol?
Well, at the time, outside meth and alcohol, before prison, no. During prison, yes. I got a heroin addiction and a Suboxone addiction. Because in prison, the doctors, they're doctors, but they're not like the street doctors. And there, you have a headache, they give you a pill. You got this, they give you a pill. So I was hooked on heroin. You know, obviously injecting it. And then Suboxone came out. They put you on Suboxone, but they start you off like high doses. And then, you know, you can miss an appointment and boom, they cut you. So what happens? You withdraw from Suboxone. And that's to me, a Suboxone withdrawal is worse than heroin. Yeah. You know, and then COVID hit.
Oh, yeah.
So you were strung out on heroin and then COVID hit, then you're slammed down. So that was another thing I went through in prison was COVID.
So now you're dealing with a heroin addiction.
Yes.
And then you're dealing with the Suboxone maintenance program.
Correct.
And then you're dealing with a Suboxone withdrawal.
Yes.
And then now you're dealing with COVID being on lockdown. Right? No movement, right?
Yep.
I don't know what that looked like in there. I know what it looked like out here. Okay. I know out here, nobody was going anywhere.
Well, I could give you a feel for it. Imagine this. Okay. You're withdrawing from heroin, and then you have a little bit of Suboxone, and now and then I caught COVID while I'm withdrawing from Suboxone. So not only are you going through withdrawals, you're going through COVID, and then on top of everything, we had a food sale the day COVID hit in prison. So I was eating pizza with COVID and withdrawing from Suboxone. $20 Costco pizza, my dad. That's how much it cost me.
$20
for a
one. Was that the delivery fee?
No, they did a food sale.
And it was cold, huh?
And it was cold.
It was cold,
of course, because it was COVID. It was just a big old mess. But that's life in prison with COVID and withdrawals. It was horrible, man.
Yeah. So which also you have to think about the effects of the mental health that had.
Yes, people were dying in there, man. I remember, you know, you're used to the alarms going off, right? But you're not used to them going off back to back. I remember some correction officers even looking like, damn, they didn't train me for this. People were dying in the buildings, and this was in Donovan State Prison. People were dying. I remember some dude all the way in cell 101 died, and then 5 minutes later the alarm went off and it went over here. Some COs even got sick.
Wow.
They weren't prepared for it. They were making masks out of the reception uniforms, the orange ones, you know, but I guess they handled it as best as they could, because who's really prepared for an outbreak like that, you know? And then
nobody was.
It was
which is why the outcome was what? Lockdown.
You lock them
down.
Yeah,
everybody's gonna be fine. But at the end of the day, you know, we had another guest on here and we were talking about the effects of COVID. So that was like depression, anxiety, isolation. Exactly. Right. Some people unfortunately took their own lives during those times because they already had mental health issues. So it's just a plethora of problems that have happened because we decided to get locked down because of COVID.
Yeah, it was a long. I didn't see my family for like 2 years.
Wow.
It was brutal. And then shortly after that, I paroled. So that was weird.
So let's backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
So while you were using heroin, did you ever overdose?
I overdosed once, but it wasn't like where they Narcan and everything. My cellie brought me back to life by like throwing water on me and slapping me. And I pretty much just wanted to end my life because I was tired of, you know, owing money in prison, sticking a needle in my arm, And then the needles in there aren't like out here. You're sharing. It's like one for like 200 people. So imagine how bloody it is, how dull it is. I remember one time I was trying to use a binky, and it's just like a homemade rig. And then the pressure blew out all the drugs and the blood from the opposite side of the rig. And there I was trying to pick it up and slam it back. And that at that point, I was like, yeah, this is nasty, man. I caught hepatitis C because of that.
Wow.
And but that's just where your addiction takes you. Looking back at it now, I'm like, not so much disgusted with myself, just disappointed. Like, really, man?
Yeah.
Because there's a better life out there besides drugs and alcohol and even any addiction in general.
Yeah.
There's, with the right help, and we can make it work.
Yeah. So when all that was happening, and then now you're on the ground and you're trying to suck that back up with your binky.
Yeah, my
right?
pinky, man.
And so you're trying to get that done so you can get that hit, and you start thinking to yourself, what the heck am I doing? Would you consider that your rock bottom?
I would consider that my rock bottom, because shortly after that, I got an abscess. Shortly after that, my mom came to visit me, and this was before COVID. Excuse me. And just me trying to cover my arm, and her seeing that, and just knowing that I did that. Yeah, that was my rock. Because on top of all that, I owed money for drugs in there, because drugs ain't cheap.
Yeah.
So me bugging her for money, her getting loans, my brother getting loans, him almost losing his car, getting repoed because he took a title loan out on his car. Like, all that mixed in together is my rock bottom. Well, then I thought my rock bottom. I hit a deeper bottom, because one thing I learned about addiction is your bottom could always get deeper. You could always keep digging.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So that was, we'll cap that as the beginning of the rock bottom.
Yes.
Right? Where you start realizing, dang, I have a problem. This is wild. Right? And then you were talking about your family going into debt to make sure that you were good. Right? Because all those things that come along with purchasing drugs in prison, which we won't talk about.
Yeah.
But, it's a scary feeling for a family, right? Because I've been on the other side of that phone call too.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So understanding those things, and it's like, it comes back to the first statement where I made, where people don't realize that our families are doing time with us, and through the consequences of our actions, they're paying the price too. And that's the wild part when you start thinking about that, right? So, so then after that, you paroled?
Yes. No, at that time was like 2017. I was in prison for 7 years.
Okay.
84 months. So from the beginning of 15 till November of 2021.
Okay. And so is that when you started getting your life together?
You know what? A year before I paroled, I was seeing ads on TV about the LA Marathon, right? Because I was in Donovan. And I told myself I'm going to run it. I remember I told my mom, and she kind of looked at me like supportive, but kind of like, yeah, all right, you ain't going to run that. So I said, all right, bet. So I started training. After COVID, they opened the yards back up. I started running. I got in shape. I actually got a six-pack, believe it or not.
Dang.
And so I paroled in November. The marathon was in March. So 4 months after paroling, I ran 26.2 miles in 4 hours and a half.
Dang.
So I was clean.
Yeah.
I was clean at the time. And I'm a carpenter by trade. I work for the union, for the 213 Carpenters Union. And after I got my job back, because I was in the union prior to prison, so after paroling, I got my job back, and I was working at the Clipper Stadium. And that's when my addiction began again. Overtime hours and X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I was able to do good like 4 months after paroling from prison.
So you stayed clean for 4 months, and then you just started dabbing again in meth.
I thought I could. No, after prison, I didn't do meth. It was just coke.
Okay.
It was just cocaine.
So now we've gone from meth to heroin to coke.
To coke, yes.
And so while you're working for the union and you're doing coke and you're trying to maintain, how long after that would you say you came to the life choice of like, dude, I'm tired. I just gotta.
You know what? A lot of that is tied in. Let me just say one thing for like 10 seconds. So I met this girl. I'm not going to say her name because she'll probably like kill me. But
Wow.
I met this girl, and we trained for the marathon together. Not the LA Marathon, but we ran another one after that. And she ended up being my fiance, right? So I got with her, and then the coke and everything just went rock bottom with her. So I was able to get high and hit rock bottom, I want to say like 8 months. It took me eight months to just be like, you know what, I'm done with this. Because along the way, I got clean for like a month. I didn't. And it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'm pretending I'm asleep at night just so she could be like, oh, he's resting. I'm shaking my foot, playing possum, and I couldn't do no more, man. I got tired of the same thing. Money coming up missing, being short for rent. She has 2 kids. So I just want to be a better example for not only for them, but really mainly for myself.
Yeah.
Because when I'm good, like I always tell her, when I'm good, we're good.
Of course.
And
that's another key point, right? Is when we take care of ourselves, we can take care of those around us.
Yes.
Because if we're trying to take care of everybody else around us and we're a straight mess, it's going to be temporary.
Yeah.
Right? Before everything just falls apart, you're going to be like, whoa, what happened?
Yeah, that's like a Mickey Mouse. So the way I see it is, you can't tell this guy you can't help someone before you help yourself. Because that's pretty much being like a hypocrite, I guess.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure you're good, because when you're good, you're going to give the right advice, and you're also going to be a role model, like the butterfly effect. So, yeah, man.
So,
that.
You went on for 8 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, all right, I'm done. And that's when you decided, I'm finished. I'm not doing nothing no more.
You know what? Yeah. But it was a little deeper than that. I was having problems with my fiance, and she didn't give me an ultimatum. She's my rock, man. She never gave me an ultimatum. She never said it's either that or this. She just said you need to get help. But the look of not even disgust, just of disappointment in her and my mom's face, like, dude, you came so far. I even got stabbed in prison, and you went from that to a marathon to back to drugs. It took that, and I took a good look at myself, and I'm like, you know what? Right, man, I gotta fix me. So my mother-in-law and my mom and all her family don't even know that I'm in rehab. They think I'm somewhere else working, but I don't want to tell them, because I want to show them with my actions. Anybody could talk like, oh, I'm clean, but I'd rather show them with my actions, walk the walk and talk the talk, that I went from this to that. But you know what? Check it out. I bounced back. It's never too late to get clean, man.
And here's the other thing, and I just want to encourage you a little bit, is at the end of the day, people not knowing that your recovery is okay, but never be ashamed of you trying to make yourself better and to get yourself better. It's something you should be proud of, and I'm sure your fiance and your children are proud of you. Just gotta take it one day at a time, my guy.
I'm not ashamed. I just, when I tell them, I want to have some time under me. Because if I tell them like now, they're gonna be like, dude, you got 9 days clean. Which to me, that's like, hey, hell yeah, I got 9 days clean. But to the normal people, they're like, 9 days.
So here's another word of encouragement. You ready? I'm coming up on 18 years in August. Now listen. I started with 1 day, I started with 1 second, and I started with 1 minute. But all that was brought on by a decision that was made.
Okay.
So 9 days to 18 years. Point is, you made a decision. Stick to that decision.
It's the best decision I made so far.
That's it. So now that you're at 9 days now,
Yes, sir.
Share with what's helping you to maintain and retain sobriety that didn't help you before.
Family relationships off top. They answer my calls now. My
Nice.
mom, she doesn't answer my phone like, what do you want? She's more like, what's up, son?
Yeah.
My girl now, she's kind of sketchy still. She's kind of like, I don't know if you're serious, but when they say I love you, it's not forced. It's like they willingly say it.
Yeah.
And just seeing my mom smile, me feeling better. I could sleep, I could eat, I enjoy food. And that's really one of the biggest. I got closer to God. That's one of my biggest benefits is my inner circle, seeing them happy because they know that I'm making the right choice. I get clean,
So knowing that that's what's helping you so that being like the main motivator for you is like your family relations and then your faith.
Mm-hmm.
So would you say that those are the main things helping you stay clean, or is there more?
You know what? I just want to be the best person I can, because I go around being judged all the time. Like, I have a split tongue, tattoos, felon, all that, but I want to be the best version of myself. Obviously for myself, but because I want to give everybody around me the best version of me.
Nice.
I don't really have a relationship with my kids, and maybe God had a plan. Like, I'm not going to put you in their life when you're effed up. I'm going to put you in their life when you're good. And right now, I'm on track. I'm definitely going that way.
And that's good that you have that mindset, right? To where you're not condemning yourself, because a lot of people do, right? A lot of people look back like, oh, I'm this or I'm that, and I shouldn't be around, or because I did this, I shouldn't be around them. But at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about kids is kids love without condition.
They do, huh?
Regardless, they love you, right? And it's crazy because, again, man, your story is very relatable. But I had to realize at the end of the day, I made a lot of choices, and they were not always the right choices. But I didn't let those choices dictate or delegate the type of father I was going to be.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the route I'm headed to.
Good.
Because my biological kids aren't in my life, but my girl has kids, and they see me like their dad.
Yeah.
And I know they noticed too that I was acting kind of funky, you know, because I'm always upbeat, bubbly, you know.
Yeah.
I rarely have bad days, and when I do have a bad day, I don't really let it affect me, because after serving 7 years in prison, man, anything on the streets has a solution. Addiction has a solution. It may not be curable, but it's maintainable.
Yeah.
And you get what you get what you put in.
Yeah.
Much, so
for sure. So as we wrap up our interview, and then we had a really good conversation, so I appreciate it.
You're a nice guy, man. I noticed that.
Thanks for that, man.
Yeah.
So what we do is we give our guests an opportunity, right, to speak from the heart, straight to this community that is watching this video, and they may get encouraged, find some faith and some hope,
okay,
and or may find something that's relatable to you, and they see you, and they're like, man, if he can make it and he's willing to put in the work, what's different, right? So right now is your moment to look into your camera,
the Sony,
and just be like, Juan,
okay,
encourage the people, my boy.
The first thing that comes to my mind, ladies and gentlemen, is you don't get what one of my favorite quotes is, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. So yeah, you wish to get clean, yeah, you wish this, but do the work. Number one, the step one is admitting you were powerless over alcohol and your lives become unmanageable, that, you know, to addiction too. Admit it and get help. I was the lowest of the lowest, 84 months in prison. I trained for a marathon. I got out, I ran it, I fell, but I got back up. And I promise you this, if you work the steps, you know, obviously, honestly, you're gonna get pure 100% genuine results. Take it from me. I eat, I sleep, and I wake up happy. I don't need a substance to make me happy no more, you know. And yeah, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Work the steps and watch your life change slowly but surely. That's the best advice I can give, man.
That's good.
You know,
that was really good.
Thank you, man.
So again, like we like to end our podcast letting everybody know you're not alone. We're all here. We're grateful that Juan came out and shared his story. So again, if you guys have any ideas, questions, remarks, go ahead and hit our bio, slide us a comment in the DMs. If you guys want any subject matter or see a guest, let us know. We'll be more than willing to take it. Till you see you next time. Later, using my story.